Hey y'all. Welcome back to Weekly Hyperfixations. I'm Riot. I think I have the camera in the right spot. Maybe just like a smidgen. That. There we go. We're back in my usual place setting. So welcome. We got kind of all over the place with some silly goofy things this week. So very fun. First up, shout out to the loud cars outside. I've waited probably an extra hour and a half to start filming because of car noise. So my apologies if there's any more. So there's a lot of things. First of all, today, which for me is the 19th. Happy Mighty 9 release day. Very exciting. That was the first Critical Role campaign that I watched. And now they've got an animated show for that, and I'm very excited about it. And they're starting much earlier than the previous show did. So, like, they're let me rephrase that. They're starting earlier in the continuity of the campaign for the Mighty Nine. The Legend of Vox Machina the show starts around level 10 or 11. But for reasons that I cannot specify because it would be a spoiler, I know for a fact that they are starting earlier in the campaign than they did for Vox Machina. So I'm very excited about it. Absolutely hyped. Especially since that means that, Critical Role is gonna have, some wired interviews, cute little interviews, celebrating that, which is exciting. Very excellently, and in the same vein of speaking, I want to talk about Dispatch a little bit. Let me bring up, yes, okay. There's the developer statement on artificial intelligence. They have no interest in using AI at all, either in replacing voice actors or in its own development. They said, quote, AI feels like a production solution, not a creative one. Maybe it's a creative one if you just aren't creative. Whatever we're building, it has to connect. It's got to be made by people and it has to connect to people. We're not getting up every morning and talking to ourselves like, hey, what if we did this with less people? What's the lowest number of people we can use to make this thing? This is like not anything that we're too concerned with. So that is extremely encouraging. Big ups to Dispatch. Also, I gotta get my grubby little hands on it. You know what I mean? Like, I want to get my grubby little hands on Dispatch. I don't even know if it's a type of game I would like, outside of the story, but listen, I think most of the characters I've seen that work in that office in the game Dispatch, I'm pretty sure I like most of them. So, and if there's one, basically I like all of the ones I've seen. There's maybe 3 or 4 I haven't seen, basically. So, take that with what you will, I guess. Next up, we've got some Pokemon things, actually. I haven't fully watched the little trailer they put out for Pokopia, but it does have a release date that I might have talked about. The release date is literally like March or something. Like, it's not that far away. But I wanted to highlight from Pokopia, they decided to put in some variant Pokemon that are not seen anywhere else. We've got a Mosslax. I'm a big Snorlax enjoyer, so I'm very excited about that. I hope they make a plushie of him. Looks like it'd be a really good plushie. and a Pikachu, but the peak sound in the name Pikachu is spelled out P-E-A-K. And it's like desaturated Pikachu. Malnourished, if you will. I don't know what's going on there. I'm here for it, though. I mean, you know me, Pokemon's like the one company that I'm like, yeah, okay, I'll eat it up. We also had, because this is not a normal Pokemon game and you're playing as a Pokemon, they do still have a professor. Interestingly, not a tree-related Pokemon. Necessary, like, it's not outright a tree-related Pokemon, but interestingly, we have Professor Tangrowth. Not what I was expecting, but I do like it. And I also like that Professor Tangrowth seems to also be some sort of variant. Like, he doesn't quite look like a normal Tangrowth, which is nice. And then one that I literally found out about while I was looking for pictures of the other Pokemon. I found out about Smeargrew, which is Smeargle, but it's a variant of Smeargle called Smeargrew. Because I'm American, I'm kind of slurring that together. It's Smearguru, just for clarification. It's not lost on me that my pronunciation of it kind of loses the G. So I wanted to make sure it was clear for you all. But I saw all of those, and I think it's really interesting to take a game that is, you know, being constantly compared to Animal Crossing, and put variant Pokemon in it. And it's you know, 2 big name choices and 2 not big name choices, and it seems a little weird, but listen, I'm here for it no matter what. Like I said, eat it up. But I wanted to highlight those because first of all, I love Smeargrew and Moslax design-wise, but I just think it's interesting to put variants in a game where there's no humans, if that makes sense. But another piece of Pokemon news, fun fact, I saw this post right before going to bed, and it had been posted, like, when I saw it, it said like 30 minutes ago. We got announced for the Mega Dimension XY DLC. Mega, I've never ever said this Pokemon's name in my life. Zeraora? Sure. I believe that it was like maybe an Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon legendary. I don't think I've ever seen this Pokemon in the game myself. I did not play Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon, but I don't think I remember hearing about this Pokemon, and I remember at the time, no one cared. So, it's a blue-yellow cat thing. I don't know what it's supposed to be. But I like the Mega design a lot more than I like the original design, so I do like that. It's just an interesting choice because I'm like, is there supposed to be like a lore implication here? Like, why did you choose this Pokemon for that? You know what I mean? It's just an interesting choice because I don't remember that Pokemon being received very well. And to still do something with it feels like, from like a marketing standpoint, a little bit of a risky bet, but it seems to be working okay. If anything, it gives people more reason to use that Pokemon, so I suppose. But I just thought that was interesting. Oh yeah. I think it's this week. The event in Sonic Racing Cross Worlds that is it's the introductory event for SpongeBob. I joked to my housemates that at this point, Sonic Racing Cross Worlds is like half Baby No Money cosplays because it's got Sonic, Miku, and SpongeBob. And Yakuza, even though I don't think Majima specifically is in the game, it does still have Yakuza in the game. Why'd I do that? Let's see. Okay. Interestingly, Jack Dorsey, which I believe is the former CEO of Twitter. Let me double check that real quick. I can spell. I missed the J key entirely. Jack. Him. Yeah, he's a co-founder of Twitter. He's also the founder of Blue Sky. Jack Dorsey is pulling a crazy move, y'all. You ready for this? Jack Dorsey is funding I'll say reboot of an app. It's not the old app. It's not a completely new app. I'll call it a reboot of Vine. Yeah, you heard me, folks. A reboot of Vine. Called Divine. D-I, and then the capital V-I-N-E. Which I'm excited for. It's got the same old Vine format, 6-second video. It's got that classic format. They're going to be putting, you know, like I think it said 100,000 vines that were super popular when the app when the original app existed. Which, by the way, is really gonna remind people about how digital footprints work, I hope. But the biggest thing about this Vine reboot app, Divine, that I'm extremely excited about is AI is completely banned. Hey, new app that I will be spending my time on, actually. Thank you very much. Because that's what I want in an app at this point. So that's super exciting. I'm really excited about that. And I wanted to highlight that because I know at least a lot of people my age were very attached to Vine. So I'm very excited that Divine is coming, that Vine is getting a new life through Divine. And I'm glad that AI is completely banned for that app. Oh, I almost forgot. Kirby Air Riders has a thing where you can go and buy make and buy custom machines. I can't remember what they're called, even though I watched that entire direct. I guess they might just be called rides. Or they might just be called rides, I think. But you can customize them. So I've seen some very excellent customizations of in particular, I've seen people customizing the star-shaped ride. I'm excited for that because that reminds me of Forza Horizon games. And I didn't think I'd be getting that in a Kirby game. So, you know, I've seen some really funny ones. So, excited about that. Let's see. Hey, console war is over. Console war is completely over. Because Steam announced the Steam machine. Hey, welcome back, GameCube, basically. It's a square. You can customize the front plate of it as well, which is really cool. But the Steam machine can play any Steam game. You don't have to pay a subscription to use it. You just have the console. So the console war's pretty much over, aside from anything that still happens to be exclusive to a console type. Nintendo got it in the bag, basically. The only console needed at that point in my mind is Nintendo, because if you have the Steam machine, you have access to a bunch of games that are Xbox and PlayStation, because on, Forza was exclusive to Xbox. Now you can get it on Steam. I have it on Steam. You know what I mean? So the console war is kind of over at that point, because there's literally no reason to not have that. Especially, some people are like, oh, I prefer console over PC. Because I prefer like controller over keyboard. Hey, great news. They found a way to give you the PC power. Oh my God. Hold on. A car in the driveway. All right. Anyway. Yeah, the Steam machine, I don't know, any game that I've recommended to someone that they did not get or did not at minimum look into, pretty much every single time, it was because they had one specific console and they did not have a strong enough computer and they didn't want to do that. I've even recommended games to people that they have then not gotten at all because, I don't want to get something that isn't available on console. Why do you have a Steam account then? Anyway. I love the dogs downstairs barking while I'm trying to talk. That's super great for my concentration. I'll go ahead and move on to, you know what? I'll actually save that for the pyramid because that fits in better there. So we'll talk about the Game Awards. The Game Awards are coming up on December 11th. The first set of voting is out, including Game of the Year. And if you haven't looked at it already, the Game of the Year nominations are Clair Obscura Expedition. Clair Obscura? Expedition 33. You can tell I super wrote down the whole word and didn't try to abbreviate it for some odd reason. Death Stranding 2, DK Bonanza, Hades 2, Hollow Knight Silk Song, and Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. Hey, never heard of it. I mean, it's not the kind of game I would play anyway, but hey, never heard of it. You know what I mean? Personally, I believe I think I voted Hades 2 because I also, as someone who has not played any of them, I want to make that very clear. I have not played a single one of those games. As someone who has not played any of those games, and I still want to participate in the Game Awards, I often, for a category, if I'm not familiar with anything in the category, like extremely, I will also take into consideration the public opinion of the game, which is why I did not pick Silk Song when I put my vote down for the Game Awards. Because so many people have very valid criticisms of Silk Song. And it's not just like, oh, everything doing 2 damage is too much for me. A lot of people just felt like it was too much all the time. Which sucks because it was a highly anticipated game. And it is very loved regardless, but for me, I was going to be between Hades 2 and Silk Song, and I don't think I've heard an ounce of criticism towards Hades 2, and I have towards Silk Song. which is why I chose Hades 2 over Silksong. Pretty simple. Surprisingly, my bias towards mythology did not outright influence it, because I've watched playthroughs of 3 out of the 6 games. I haven't even seen a playthrough of Hades 2, but I've seen a full Expedition 33 playthrough, a whole DK Bonanza playthrough, and like half of a Silksong one. I got the way here. That's the other thing. The way I never got bored of watching Hollow Knight playthroughs when it came out, I couldn't get halfway through a Silksong playthrough. I got bored. Because it's, you know, it takes people a while to get used to playing the game because it's a more difficult game. But also that means that you have to just watch, you know, whatever person you're watching play the game. The first, like, half of the game is just them being really frustrated that it doesn't feel the same as Hollow Knight in terms of gameplay, things like that. And like, it's not fun to watch someone have a hard time ever. So I didn't like it that much. Love the character designs, and you know, the world building is beautiful and the music is beautiful and things like that. But yikes, dog. That's a yikes from me. Anyway. The first round of the game, the voting for the Game Awards is out now. I believe the next slot of opening opens in about 2 weeks, I think. I think it's like the 4th, maybe. And then the last round of voting starts the 8th, which is only like 3 days before the Game Awards, which is a little crazy to me, but you know. Ooh, and then the final thing, and I wanted to bring this up because it will predominantly, like, I'm sure it'll take up the entire pyramid next time, and I'll talk about it a lot. Tomorrow morning, I wake up at 6:45 on the 20th, okay? I leave the house 7:45. Where am I going? My friend is picking me up, and we are going a couple towns over to see a double feature of Wicked. That's like 6 hours, first of all. Okay. And then also there's a special intermission thing if you see it as a double feature. We also get to see it a day before it releases for normal showings. I'm extremely excited. In fact, I'm extremely excited, but I don't think I'm the most excited about it because she texted me about an hour ago. The text reads, "Only 12 hours until we will be on our way to Wicked." I went, oh my gosh. This is also, I've never hung out with this friend one-on-one before. She's very cool. But we both have trouble identifying how much a person likes being around us. But she asked me to go because I'm a theater kid and I know what the show's about and, you know, all that stuff. And which is great because I also didn't see part 1 because I purposefully intended myself to see a double showing so that I could watch it like a proper musical. Act 1, intermission, right into Act 2. Which I think technically that would be Act 1 and 2. And then I don't know how many acts are in Wicked, actually. It's more than 2, though. Well, actually, it might not be. Musicals tend to be split into halves. I don't know. But I intended to see it more like a normal musical. So, very excited. Am I going to be gone all day? Probably. My partner's going to be editing this because I can't guarantee that I will be sentient when it's the time for editing. So, big props to him for that. For sure. But I'm very excited about Wicked, and I wanted to give everyone a heads up that I will absolutely be talking about it a shit ton next week. So next week will be the Wicked episode. Okay. It's pyramid time. Yeah, it's pyramid time. Okay. So the pyramid this week is a little silly goofy. Who am I kidding? It is silly goofy. And oh, okay. We'll just jump into it. First on the pyramid is Mosslax. I don't know what to tell you. It's the first variant form of a Pokemon I really like that I've seen. I'm really hoping, I don't know how relevant types will be to Pokopia in particular, but I'd imagine Mosslax would be at minimum a grass type. Snorlax is just a normal type, so I don't know. I guess grass normal exists. They can double type it, but I don't think there's a need to. But also, again, I think it's very interesting to have a Pokemon variant be introduced in a game that has, as far as I can tell, no battling, no conflict. I mean, there's conflict, but like there's no Pokemon battles, I don't think, because it's just building a world, you know? It's simulation type game. I also find it weird that you find Mosslax in a cave. It reminds me of this very specific Final Fantasy 12 boss. I think it's like a great worm or an elder worm or whatever, but you go into a cave and there's like this big hill. Banger boss fight, so much so that I remember it to this day and have looked it up multiple times. But anyway, I think the reason I put Mosslax on the pyramid is because I'm very interested to find out what the hell is going on about that. And you know, the next thing on the pyramid, same situation. Hey, I want to know what the hell's going on here. But also, I'm a big Snorlax enjoyer, and that does absolutely extend to Mosslax. Next up on the pyramid is Smearguru, because of all the Pokemon, I would think for them to give a variant form for any reason, I wouldn't expect Smeargle to get Smearguru. And again, I haven't seen the trailer, so I don't know how much Smearguru stuff they show. But I'm really hoping that there's a lot of like key NPCs like that. Kind of like how Animal Crossing, there's all of the villagers, but then there's characters like, you know, Tom Nook, Isabelle, Gulliver, Gracie, whatever the axolotl's name was. They got rid of him for New Horizons, which pissed me off, but I can't remember his name anymore. Brewster, you know, things like that. I really hope there's a lot of key NPCs in that same way. And I'm assuming, and I'm really hoping that I mean, there's not that many months until the game releases, so I'm hoping there'll be a lot of them. At least a handful. Half a dozen, perhaps. We've got 4 technically already, so that'd only be 2 more, really, to get half a dozen. But Smearguru is on the pyramid because I have very strong feelings about Smeargle from, I can't remember which movie it is. Hold on. I'm gonna lean and look at the movies. Okay. I've confirmed that it's Pokemon Heroes that I'm thinking of. And I think there might have also been some Smeargle in Pokemon Forever. But when I was little, I was very attached to Smeargle because it was a painting Pokemon, and I really liked that. Because out of all art forms throughout my life, the art form that I first got my grubby little mitts on was painting. So I really liked Smeargle when I was a kid. That faded when I grew up because Smeargle's not super useful in terms of just combat and stuff, but I'm really interested in this variant that we are getting for Pokopia of all things. So that's why Smeargrew is on the pyramid. I changed what was in my next slot last minute because I think he's a silly, goofy guy. And y'all know how I feel about a silly, goofy guy. I haven't even played the game. Next up on the pyramid is Water Boy. Why'd they make him like that? I absolutely love what I would consider to be a comic relief character that is just so pathetic and just displayed as being really useless and things like that. He's just so funny to me. He's so funny to me. Also just sometimes I'll describe a pathetic character as a wet cat. Hey, he is literally actively a wet cat. But I wanted to put Water Boy on here because I know that there's so many people who are playing Dispatch who are gonna there's so many people who play that game who are going to fire Water Boy. Dog, what? Just because he's useless doesn't mean he doesn't deserve a chance. That's where I'm coming from with that. You know what I mean? But I wanted to put Water Boy on the pyramid because I wanted to have at least two fucking read my paper. I wanted at least two Dispatch characters on the pyramid. So that's why Water Boy's on the pyramid. He's my favorite. Next up on the pyramid, I fucking said it early, is Punch Up. Yes, it's because it's Jacksepticeye, and it's really funny that they made him a tiny Irish lad who punches people in the balls. But also, Punch Up is simultaneously on the pyramid because I love how excited Jacksepticeye is about voicing him. Sean is just outright so ecstatic about it, which is so fun to see because as far as I'm aware, he hasn't had a huge amount of major voice roles like this before. He voiced Calculester for Monster Prom, but that's it's not like you don't get to see your voice paired with an animated character in Monster Prom. It's just functionally sprites. It's just the 2D image, the transparent PNG of the character, and some splash arts about the character for Calculester in particular. And I'm pretty sure he's voiced other things before, but this is a big role. And man, is Sean taken to it. I also love how short Punch Up is. And I get that's the whole point, but it's really entertaining to me. I've seen, someone made art of Punch Up and Superman and went, I got scared and punched Superman in the balls. Which is it's just so funny. And of course, you want to know how I saw that fan art someone made? Sean retweeted it. So it's fun to see a character who is so loved deeply by the voice actor that got to be that voice. So that's why Punch Up is on the pyramid. Next up on the pyramid, this is really funny because I didn't specify. I almost called him by his hero name, but that's technically not known. That's like a spoiler. And I want to say his name's like Herbert or something funny like that. But the main character of Dispatch is voiced by Aaron Paul, which I thought was hilarious. You know, throwback to the teaser and stuff for that, and I think the previous Game Awards had Laura Bailey, of whom predominantly famous in my mind for Critical Role, and Aaron Paul came out to, I think they either presented an award or they were announcing the trailer for Dispatch. I don't remember what it was for, but just seeing Aaron Paul, period, actually, just seeing him go from predominantly on screen and now he's got a big role in as a voice actor for something. I thought that was really interesting and fun. I'm also glad that, like, you know, he genuinely enjoys being a part of this, and it's not just like a celebrity who's like, oh, gotta go in the booth for this thing that they want me to do. You know what I mean? Like, he seems genuinely invested in the game and not just there because he's being paid to, which is nice. And y'all know I've only seen him in the one thing, but like, I've watched a couple interviews with him about the game, and it's really interesting to just see the perspective of someone who is most known for an on-screen role now be the leading role, but be behind the animation. You know what I mean? Like, he's not on screen for this. He's the voice for something. And I think it's really interesting to see someone who is so well known for an on-screen role talk about and share passion for a voice acting role. So that's really nice. I'm also super considering getting into it because what else am I going to do? I don't know. But I think that would be a fun thing to dabble in, considering that I do acting all the time. I don't know why I wouldn't do voice acting. I have the ability to do a lot of accents because that's what I'm best at. So, like, I don't know why I haven't done that before. You know what I mean? And we all know I can yap for a long time and not be tired of it. So, a little self-deprecation on the docket. But that's why Aaron Paul's on the pyramid. And then finally, I also saved all the information about this for the pyramid so that there would, because it's small enough that I can just talk about it on the pyramid. Top of the pyramid is Paul McCartney, actually. First of all, I'm very entranced by the meme of, oh, I hope he doesn't explode, and then it shows him in concert singing Live and Let Die. But Paul McCartney has publicly joined in being against using AI for anything creative at all. He is in fact set to release his first track in 5 years for protesting AI in the music industry. It will be like, I want to say it was like 5 minutes of silence is what he was going to do, and as a form of protest against AI. But happy to see that, because, you know, some people assume that, you know, some people think that, like, oh, older generations are just going to go along with it or whatever, or some people think older generations will just ignore it because, you know, it's newfangled technology or whatever. I'm glad to see someone from a generation far before mine take an anti-AI stance, because that proves that it's not just like, oh, Gen Z or millennials and whatnot are trying to be against it. No, it's not just those groups. Sure, we seek out the facts about it and learned fast that AI is not good. But also that doesn't mean that my generation and the generations surrounding mine aren't the only ones who are against it, you know what I mean? So very excited to see that Paul McCartney is anti-AI. And that's why he's on the top of the pyramid. Because I value when people who have a lot of stake in an industry and a lot of influence in an industry take a morally sound stance. And I'm just glad to hear it. You know what I mean? All right. That caps out our pyramid for this week. Thank you all so much for watching. Next week's episode will predominantly be about Wicked. I know myself. I know that seeing all of Wicked in one go and seeing this version of Wicked for the first time completely in one go will absolutely alter my brain for a while. And there will be crying, mainly because my body will just respond to live or loud music on its own. But yeah, I'm very excited about it. Also, I get to spend time with what I would consider a relatively new friend. So that's exciting. I'm super hype about it. Anyway, thank you all so much for watching. Of course, you know, I'll be here same time, same place. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. I don't flood inboxes with a bajillion videos or shorts. I don't do that. Literally, if you turn on all notifications from me, at most one video a week, one community post a week, and they're usually on the same day. So, yeah. I haven't mentioned it in a great while, but my weekly community post is just the previous week's pyramid. I do make a visual graphic for the pyramid every week. And I post it before the new episode comes out. Should I probably be spacing posting that and then the video posting? Should I probably make those be farther apart? Yeah, but I'm not gonna. I've got a routine. I'm gonna stick to it for now. But lo and behold, like I said, thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you right here, same time, same place next week. Have a good weekend and have a good rest of your week. Again, next week's episode will be very Wicked heavy. For real. So do be wary. I'll probably, you know, I'll say it right now. It will technically be a completely spoiler-filled episode, but also the musical's been out since 2007. So, anyway, same time, same place, all that good stuff. Thank you all so much for being here. And for all of you that have subscribed, there's a lot of you now. That's crazy to me. So thank you so much for joining this little journey I got going on through Weekly Hyperfixations. And that'll be all for this week. So yeah. have a good week. And bye, y'all.